Cow and a Calf by 7 bearing gold. A cow and a calf, an ox and a half, 40 shillings good and free. Is it not a twocher for a shoemaker's daughter, a bonny lass with a bright black eye? A dollar by 7 bearing gold. A dollar, and 10 o'clock scholar. What makes you come so soon? You used to come at 10 o'clock, and now you are come at noon. A ship a-sailing by 7 bearing gold. I saw a ship a-sailing on the sea, and oh, it was a-laden with pretty things for me. There were comforts in the cabin and apples in the hold, the sails were made of satin, the masts of beaten gold. The 24 sailors that stood between the decks were 24 white mice with chains about their necks. The captain was a duck, sir, with a packet on his back, and when the ship was sailing the captain said, "Quack, quack." Among the green hay by 7 bearing gold. As I was a-walking one morning in spring, 'twas down in the meadows to hear the birds sing. My true love he met me that very same day, 'twas down in the meadows among the green hay. What makes you, my dearest, this morning to mourn? I wish to my heart you were not so forlorn. Do you think that your jewel you'd e'er find more shy than Timothy? My father he's worth 10,000 or more, and I am his daughter and his only heir. Not a farthing of fortune he'd give me, I fear, if I were to marry you, my dear. Oh, as for your fortune, my dear, I don't mind. I'll make your husband both loving and kind. Your hand put in mine, miss, if you are inclined, and Cupid shall us in harmony bind. So then to the church they both hastened away, and home to her father the very same day, saying, "Honoured father, I tell unto thee, I am married." So then the old man he greatly did stare. "What, married, my daughter, my love and my care?" Saying, "If it be so, then I have a new son, to him I say welcome." As I was going to St Ives by 7 bearing gold. As I was going to St Ives, I met 7 wives. Each wife had 7 sacks, each sack had 7 cats, each cat had 7 kittens, kids, cats, sacks, and wives. How many were going to St Ives? As Tommy Snooks and Bessie Brooks by 7 bearing gold. As Tommy Snooks and Bessie Brooks were walking out one Sunday, says Tommy Snooks to Bessie Brooks, "Tomorrow will be Monday." Ba, ba, black sheep by 7 bearing gold. Ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, Mary, have I 3 bags full. There's one for my master and one for my dame, but none for the naughty boy who cries in the lane. Birds of feather flock together by 7 bearing gold. Birds of feather flock together, and so will pigs and swine. Rats and mice will have their choice, and so will I have mine. Buy Baby Bunting by 7 bearing gold. Buy Baby Bunting, Daddy's gone a-hunting, to buy a little rabbit skin to wrap up little baby in. Chit Chat by 7 bearing gold. Pretty little damsels, how they chat, chit chat, tittle tattle, all about their sweethearts and all that, chit chat, tittle tattle tat. Up and down the city, how they walk, and of the births and the fashions, how the damsels talk, and now and then a little bit of slender is no balk to their chit chat, tittle tattle, chit chat, tittle tattle tat. Pretty little damsels go to cheapen in the shops, chit chat, tittle tattle. Pretty little bonnets and pretty little caps, chit chat, tittle tattle tat. A little bit of rouge and a nice little thing, a nice little picture of a nice little man, or any silly thing, at all of which we can. Chit chat, tittle tattle, chit chat, tittle tattle tat. Pretty little damsels, how prettily they run, chit chat, tittle tattle, for a little bit of flattery and a little bit of fun. Chit chat, tittle tattle tat. The pretty little nose and the pretty little chin and the pretty little mouth and the pretty little grin and the nimble little tongue to keep others in. Chit chat, tittle tattle, chit chat, tittle tattle tat. Cobbler Cobbler, mend my shoe by 7 bearing gold. Cobbler Cobbler, mend my shoe, give it a stitch and it will do. Here's a nail and there's a prod, and now my little maid's well shod. Cross patch, draw the latch by 7 bearing gold. Cross patch, draw the latch, sit by the fire and spin. Take a cup and drink it up, and call your neighbors in. Cushy Cow Bonny by 7 bearing gold. Cushy Cow Bonny, let down your milk, I will give you a gown of silk. A gown of silk and a golden flea, if you let down your milk for me. Daddy Daddy Longlegs by 7 bearing gold. Daddy Daddy Longlegs wouldn't say his prayers. Take him by the left leg, throw him downstairs. Dickery Dickery Dock by 7 bearing gold. Dickery Dickery Dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, and down he ran, Dickery Dickery Dock. Ding Dong Bell by 7 bearing gold. Ding Dong Bell, pussy's in the well. Who put her in? Little Tommy Lin. Who pulled her out? Little Jack Sprout. What a naughty boy was that to drown a pretty pussycat, who never did any harm, but killed the mice in his daddy's barn. 24 tailors went to kill a snail by 7 bearing gold. 24 tailors went to kill a snail. The bravest man among them durstn't touch its tail. The snail put out its horns like a little dun cow. Run, tailors, run, or she'll kill you all. Girls and boys come out to play by 7 bearing gold. Girls and boys come out to play, the moon doth shine as bright as day. Leave your supper and leave your sleep, and come to your playfellows in the street. Come with a whoop and come with a call, come with a good will or not at all. Up the ladder and down the wall, a penny loaf, it will serve us all. You find milk and I'll find flour, and we'll have pudding in half an hour. Good King Arthur by 7 bearing gold. King Arthur was a worthy king, as ancient bards do sing. He bought 3 pecks of barley meal to make a bag pudding. A bag pudding the queen she made, and stuffed it full of plums, and in it put great lumps of fat as big as my 2 thumbs. The king and queen sat down to dine, and all the court beside, and what they could not eat that night the queen next morning fried. Good night and good morning by 7 bearing gold. A fair little girl sat under a tree, sewing as long as her eyes could see. She smoothed her work and folded it right, and said, "Dear work, good night, good night." Such a number of rocks flew over her head, crying, "Caw, caw," on the way to bed. She said, as she watched their curious flight, "Little black things, good night, good night." The horses neighed and the oxen lowed, the sheep's bleat came over the road, all seeming to say with a quiet delight, "Dear little girl, good night, good night." She did not say to the sun good night, though she saw him there like a ball of light, for she knew he had God's time to keep all over the world and never could sleep. The tall pink foxglove bowed his head, the violet courtesied and went to bed, and good little Lucy tied up her hair and said on her knees her evening prayers. And while on the pillow she softly lay, she knew nothing more till again it was day, and all things said to the beautiful sun, good morning, our work has begun." Goosey, Goosey Gander by 7 bearing gold. Goosey, Goosey Gander, why do you wander? Upstairs, downstairs, in my lady's chamber? If a quack, 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 call for a cup of sack and a little sugar and ginger. Great A, little A by 7 bearing gold. Great A, little A, bouncing B, the cat's in the cupboard, and she can't see. Green and airy around by 7 bearing gold. There was an old woman lived under a hill, green and airy around. There was an old woman lived under a hill, and she had good ale and beer to sell. With a clack, hurry scurry, scurry-wick, green and airy around. She had an old man, and he wore a wig, grey and hairy around, a cat and a dog, and a fat little pig. She had a daughter, her name it was Nan, plump and bonny around, and Nan would laugh with woman or man. There came a dropper a-riding by, red and hairy around. He called for drink because he was dry. His boots were leather, his coat was red, bowed and hairy around, a spur at his heel and a hat at his head. The dropper he was so bold and so big, bold, big and hairy around, kissed Nan, drank beer and ate up a pig, and never he paid one fig. With a clack, how he scurry back, green and airy around. Green gravel by 7 bearing gold. Green gravel, the grass is so green, the fairest young maiden that ever was seen. Oh Mary, your true love is dead. He sends you this letter to turn round your head. Oh mother, do you think this is true? Oh yes, child, then what shall I do? We'll wash you in milk, and we'll clothe you in silk, and we'll write down your name with a gold pen and ink. Grey Goose and Gander, waft your wings together, by 7 bearing gold. Grey Goose and Gander, waft your wings together, and carry the good king's daughter over the one-strand river. Hark, hark, the dogs do bark, by 7 bearing gold. Hark, hark, the dogs do bark. The beggars are coming to town, some in jakes and some in rags, and others in velvet gowns. Here stands a fist, by 7 bearing gold. Here stands a fist. Who put it there? A better man than you. Touch it if you dare. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall by 7 bearing gold. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Not all the king's horses, not all the king's men can put Humpty Dumpty on the wall again. I dope, my fire is out, by 7 bearing gold. I dope, my fire is out, my little wife isn't at home. I'll saddle my dog and I'll bridle my hawk, and I'll fetch my little wife home. I had a little husband, no bigger than my thumb, by 7 bearing gold. I had a little husband, no bigger than my thumb. I put him in a pin pot and told him where to drum. I bought a little horse that galloped up and down. I bridled him and saddled him and sent him out of town. I gave him yellow garters to garter up his hose, and little silk handkerchief for wiping off his nose. I'll sing you a song by 7 bearing gold. I'll sing you a song, days are so long. The woodcock and the sparrow, the little dog has burnt his tail, he must be hanged tomorrow. I'll tell you a story by 7 bearing gold. I'll tell you a story of Jack O'Norry. And now my story's begun, I'll tell you another about Jack's brother. Now my story's done. I see the moon, and the moon sees me, by 7 bearing gold. I see the moon, and the moon sees me. God bless the moon, and God bless me. If all the world were paper, by 7 bearing gold. If all the world were paper, and all the seas were ink, and all the trees were bread and cheese, what should we have to drink? If all the world were sand, or when, what should we lacquer? If, as they say, there were no clay, how should we take tobacco? If all our vessels ran, if none but had a crack, if Spanish apes ate all our grapes, what should we do for sack? If all things were eternal and nothing were end-bringing, if this should be, then how should we make an end of singing? If I had as much money as I could spend, by 7 bearing gold. If I had as much money as I could spend, I never would cry, "Old chairs to mend, old chairs to mend, old chairs to mend." I never would cry, "Old chairs to mend." If I had as much money as I could tell, if I had as much money as I could tell, I never would cry, "Old clothes to sell, old clothes to sell, old clothes to sell." I never would cry, "Old clothes to sell." If I had 2 ships, by 7 bearing gold. If I had 2 ships on the ocean, both laden with silver and gold, I'd give them both to my sweet William, my sailor so true and so bold. Both to my Willie, my sailor so true and so bold. If I had 2 wings of an angel, to fly over the ocean so blue, I'd fly to the arms of sweet William, my sailor so bold and so true. Jack and Jill went up the hill, by 7 bearing gold. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Ladybird, Ladybird, by 7 bearing gold. Ladybird, Ladybird, fly away home. Your house is on fire, your children will burn. Last night the dogs did bark by 7 bearing Gould. Last night the dogs did bark. I went to the gate to see. And every lass has got a spark, will nobody come for me? And it's oh dear, what will become of me? Oh dear, what shall I do? Nobody coming to marry me, nobody coming to woo. My father's a hedger and ditcher, my mother does nothing but spin. I'm a pretty young lassie, yet slowly the money comes in. And it's oh dear, what will become of me? Oh dear, what shall I do? Nobody coming to marry me, nobody coming to woo. We say that I'm comely and fair, we say that I'm scornful and proud. Alas, I must surely despair, for luck I'm getting quite old. And it's oh dear, what will become of me? Oh dear, what shall I do? Nobody coming to marry me, nobody coming to woo. Now I must die an old maid. Oh dear, how shocking's the thought. The lust of my beauty must fade, but I'm sure it's none of my fault. And it's oh dear, what will become of me? Oh dear, what shall I do? Nobody coming to marry me, nobody coming to woo. Little Boy Blue by 7 bearing Gould. Little Boy Blue, blow your horn, the cows in the meadow, the sheep in the corn. But where's the little boy tending the sheep? He's under the hayrick, fast asleep. Little Brown Betty lifted the gold can by 7 bearing Gould. Little Brown Betty lifted the gold can, where she brewed good ale for gentlemen. The gentlemen they came every day, till little Brown Betty she hopped away. Little Jack-a-Danny by 7 bearing Gould. Little Jack-a-Danny wanted sugar candy, and fairly for it cried. But little Billy Cook, who always reads a book, shall have a horse to ride. Little Jack Horner by 7 bearing Gould. Little Jack Horner sat in a corner, eating his Christmas pie. He put in his thumb, and he pulled out a plum and said, "What a good boy am I." Little Jack Jingle by 7 bearing Gould. Little Jack Jingle used to live single, but when he got tired of his kind of life, he left off being single and lived with his wife. Little John Cook by 7 bearing Gould. Little John Cook he had a grey mare, hee-haw-haw-hum. He back stood up and her bones were bare, hee-haw-haw-hum. John Cook was riding up Shooter's Bank, hee-haw-haw-hum. And there his neck did kick and prank, hee-haw-haw-hum. John Cook was riding up Shooter's Hill, hee-haw-haw-hum. The mare fell down and she made her will, hee-haw-haw-hum. The bridle and saddle he laid on the shelf, hee-haw-haw-hum. If you want any more, you may sing it yourself, hee-haw-haw-hum. Little Miss Muffet by 7 bearing Gould. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating of curds in the way. There came a little spider who sat down beside her, and frightened Miss Muffet away. Little Poll Parrot by 7 bearing Gould. Little Poll Parrot sat up in a garret, eating toast and tea. A little brown mouse jumped into the house, stole it all away. Little Polly Flinders by 7 bearing Gould. Little Polly Flinders sat among the cinders, warming her pretty little toes. Her mother came and caught her and scolded her little daughter for spoiling her nice new clothes. Little Tom Tucker by 7 bearing Gould. Little Tom Tucker sings for his supper. What shall he have to eat? White bread and butter. How shall he cut it without a knife? How can he marry without a wife? Lucy Locket by 7 bearing Gould. Lucy Locket lost her pocket. Kitty Fisher found it, but never a penny was within it, except the binding round it. Lullaby by 7 bearing Gould. Sleep, baby, sleep, the head is not nigh, tossed on the deep, lullaby. Moon shining bright, dropping of dew, owls hoot at night, to wit, to woo. Sleep, baby, sleep, the head is away, tossed on the deep, looking for day. And the hedgerow glowworms alight, rivulets flow all through the night. Sleep, baby, sleep, the head is afar, tossed on the deep, watching a star. Clock going tick, tack in the dark, on the half click dies the last spark. Sleep, baby, sleep, what, not a wink, the head on the deep, what will he think? Baby dear, soon Daddy will come, bringing red shun for baby at home. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John by 7 bearing gold. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, bless the bed that I lie on. 4 corners to my bed, 4 angels around my head. 1 to watch, and 1 to pray, 2 to bear my soul away. Mother's song by 7 bearing gold. My heart is like a fountain true that flows and flows with love to you. As chirps the lark unto the tree, so chirps my pretty babe to me. And it's oh, sweet, sweet, and a lullaby. There's not a rose where I seek as calmly as my baby's cheek. There's not a comb of honey bee so full of sweets as baby to me. And it's oh, sweet, sweet, and a lullaby. There's not a star that shines on high as brighter than my baby's eye. There's not a boat upon the sea can dance as baby does to me. And it's oh, sweet, sweet, and a lullaby. No silk was ever spun so fine as is the hair of baby mine. My baby smells more sweet to me than smells in spring the elder tree. And it's oh, sweet, sweet, and a lullaby. A little fish swims in the well, so in my heart does baby dwell. A little flower blows on the tree, my baby is the flower to me. And it's oh, sweet, sweet, and a lullaby. The queen has sceptre, crown, and ball. You're my sceptre, crown, and all. For all her robes of royal silk, more fair your skin is white as milk. And it's oh, sweet, sweet, and a lullaby. 10,000 parks where deer run, 10,000 roses in the sun, 10,000 pearls beneath the sea. My baby more precious is to me, and it's oh, sweet, sweet, and a lullaby. Mrs. Mary by 7 bearing gold. Mistress Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? With cockle shells and silver bells and marigolds all in a row. My Johnny was a shoemaker by 7 bearing gold. My Johnny was a shoemaker and dearly he loved me. My Johnny was a shoemaker but now he's gone to sea. With nasty pitch to soil his hands and sail the stormy sea. My Johnny was a shoemaker. His jacket was deep sky blue and curly was his hair. His jacket was deep sky blue, it was as I declare. To reef the topsail now he's gone and sail across the stormy sea. My Johnny was a shoemaker. And he will be a captain by and by with a brave and gallant crew. And he will be a captain by and by with a sword and a spyglass too. And when he is a captain bold, he come back to marry me. My Johnny was a shoemaker. New Year's Day by 7 bearing gold. I saw 3 ships come sailing by, come sailing by, come sailing by. I saw 3 ships come sailing by on New Year's Day in the morning. And what do you think was in them then? Was in them then, was in them then? And what do you think was in them then on New Year's Day in the morning? 3 pretty girls were in them then, were in them then, were in them then. 3 pretty girls were in them then on New Year's Day in the morning. One could whistle, and one could sing, and the other could play on the violin. Such joy there was at my wedding on New Year's Day in the morning. Nice young maidens by 7 bearing gold. Here's a pretty set of us, nice young maidens, here's a pretty set of us, nice young maidens. Here's a pretty set of us, all for husbands at loss, but we cannot tarry with us, nice young maidens, nice young maidens. Now I'll give you good advice, nice young maidens. Now I'll give you good advice. If you won't be ever nice, you'll get husbands in a trice, nice young maidens. Now I'll recommend a plan, nice young maidens. Now I'll recommend a plan. If you get a little man, you must do the best you can, nice young maidens. Now I'll leave you all to choose, nice young maidens. Now I'll leave you all to choose. If you've an offer, don't refuse. If you should a husband lose, you'll die an old maiden, the jetty old maiden. Old King Cole by 7 bearing gold. Old King Cole was a merry soul, and a merry soul was he. He called for his pipe, and he called for his glass, and he called for his fiddlers 3. Every fiddler he had a fiddle, and a very fine fiddle had he. Tweet twiddly dee went the fiddlers, Auch wär's none so rare as can compare with King Cole and his fiddlers free. On Christmas Day in the morning by 7 bearing gold. Dame, get up and bake your pies, bake your pies, bake your pies. Dame, get up and bake your pies on Christmas Day in the morning. Dame, what makes your maidens lie, maidens lie, maidens lie? Dame, what makes your maidens lie on Christmas Day in the morning? Dame, what makes your ducks to die, ducks to die, ducks to die? Dame, what makes your ducks to die on Christmas Day in the morning? Their wings are cut, they cannot fly, cannot fly, cannot fly. Their wings are cut, they cannot fly on Christmas Day in the morning. One Michaelmas Morn by 7 bearing gold. One Michaelmas morn I awoke in a fright, and got up in the dawn before it was light. I sat myself down the world to admire, and saw the blackberries grow on the green briar. Then, when I walked further, I chanced to see a cow and a pretty maid under a tree. I stepped to the damsel, and to her said I, "A pennoth of milk, if you please, and dry." "Look yonder," she said, "the black cow with the tail has spilled all the milk and kicked out the pail." 1, 2, buckle my shoe by 7 bearing gold. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, shut the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, lay them straight. 9, 10, a good fat hen. 11, 12, who will 12? 13, 14, draw the curtain. 15, 16, mates in the kitchen. 17, 18, who is waiting? 19, 20, my stomach's empty. Please, Mamma, give me some dinner. Oranges and lemons by 7 bearing gold. Gay go up and gay go down to ring the bells of London town. Bull's eyes and targets say the bells of St. Margaret's. Brickbats and tiles say the bells of St. Giles. Halfpence and farthings say the bells of St. Martin's. Oranges and lemons say the bells of St. Clement's. Pancakes and fritters say the bells of St. Peter's. 2 sticks and an apple say the bells of Whitechapel. Old Father Baldpate say the slow bells of Aldgate. Pokers and hungs say the bells of St. John's. Kettles and pence say the bells of St. Anne's. You owe me 10 shillings, say the bells of St. Helen's. When will you pay me, say the bells of Old Bailey. When I grow rich, say the bells of Shoreditch. Pray when will that be, say the bells of Stevenage. I'm sure I don't know, says the great bell of Bow. Here comes a candle to light you up to bed, and here comes a chopper to chop off your head. Patty cake, baker's man by 7 bearing gold. Patty cake, baker's man, pat it and bake it as fast as you can. Prick it, and mark it with C, and that will do purely for Charlie and me. Peas pudding hot, peas pudding cold, by 7 bearing gold. Peas pudding hot, peas pudding cold, peas pudding in the pot, 9 days old. Some like it hot, some like it cold, some like it in the pot, 9 days old. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper by 7 bearing gold. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. A peck of pickled pepper Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper, where's the peck of pickled pepper Peter Piper picked? Pretty Little Girl by 7 bearing gold. See this pretty little girl of mine, she has brought me a bottle of wine. Bottle of wine and biscuits too, see what this pretty girl can do. On the carpet she shall kneel, as the grass grows on the field. Stand upright upon your feet, choose you one that you love sweet. Now you're married, I wish you joy, first a girl and then a boy. 7 years after, a son and a daughter, pray young couple kiss together. First she bought a wooden ladle, then she bought a wooden cradle. The very next day the babe was born. Rock, rock the cradle, rock, rock the cradle. Primrose Hill by 7 bearing gold. As I was going up Primrose Hill was dirty. There I met a pretty miss, and she dropped me a curtsy. Little miss, pretty miss, blessings light upon you. If I had half a crown a day, I'd spend it all upon you. Rain, rain, go to Spain by 7 bearing gold. Rain, rain, go to Spain, and when we want you, come again. Robin and Richard were two pretty men by 7 bearing gold. Robin and Richard were two pretty men. They lay in bed till the clock struck 10. Then up starts Robin and looks at the sky. "Oh, brother Richard, the sun is high. You go before with your bottle and bag, and I will come after on little Jack Nag." Robin Redbreast and Jenny Wren by 7 bearing gold. 'Twas once upon a time when Jenny Wren was young, so daintily she danced and so prettily she sung. Robin Redbreast lost his heart, for he was a gallant bird, so he doffed his hat to Jenny Wren, requesting to be heard. "Oh, dearest Jenny Wren, if you will but be mine, you shall feed on cherry pie, you shall drink red currant wine. I'll dress you as a goldfinch, as any peacock gay. So, dearest Jen, if you'll be mine, let us appoint the day." Jenny blushed behind the fen, and thus declared her mind. "Since, dearest Bob, I love you, I take your offer kind. Cherry pie is very nice, and so is currant wine. But I must wear my plain brown gown and never go too fine." Robin Redbreast rose betimes, all at the break of day. He flew to Jenny Wren's house and sang a roundelay. He sang of Robin Redbreast and little Jenny Wren, and when he came unto the end, he then began again. Rock-a-bye, baby, on the tree-top by 7 bearing gold. Rock-a-bye, baby, on the tree-top, when the wind blows the cradle will rock. When the wind lulls, the cradle will fall, down will come baby and cradle and all. Rock-a-bye, baby, thy cradle is green by 7 bearing gold. Rock-a-bye, baby, thy cradle is green, father's a nobleman, mother's a queen, and Betty's a lady, and wears a gold ring, and Johnny's a drummer, drums for the king. Rosy Apple by 7 bearing gold. Rosy Apple, mellow pear, bunch of roses she shall wear. Gold and silver by her side, she shall be my bonny bride. Take her by the lily white hand, lead her over sea and land. Give her kisses 1, 2, 3, which shall be true love to me. Rub-a-dub-dub by 7 bearing gold. Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub, and who you think they be? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Turn 'em out, they're knaves all 3. School over by 7 bearing gold. When our working school is done, to the fields we go, walking in the grassy paths, skipping we do, picking cooling buttercups, many pretty flowers, violets, forget-me-nots, spend happy hours. Chase the bee and butterfly where the summer daisies lie. Oft-times up the hills we go, gather pretty flowers, bluebells and daffodils, spending happy hours. See little streamlets dance down the hillside, see the rocks the sunbeams glance, whence they glide. Chase the bee and butterfly where the summer daisies lie. Show the cold by 7 bearing gold. Show the cold, show the cold, show the wild mare, but for the little foal, let her run bare. Show the little horse by 7 bearing gold. Show the little horse, and show the little mare, and let the little colt run bare, bare, bare. Simple Simon met the pieman by 7 bearing gold. Simple Simon met the pieman going to the fair. Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Let me taste your ware." Says the pieman to Simple Simon, "Show me first your penny." Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Indeed I have not any." Simple Simon went a-fishing for to catch a whale. All the water he had got was in his mother's pail. Simple Simon went to look if plums grew on a thistle. He pricked his fingers very much, which made poor Simon whistle. Sing a song of 6 pence by 7 bearing gold. Sing a song of 6 pence, a pocket full of rye, 24 blackbirds baked in a pie. When the pie was opened, the birds began to sing. Was not this a dainty dish to set before the king? The king was in his counting house counting all his money. The queen was in the parlor eating bread and honey. The maid was in the garden hanging out her clothes. By came a blackbird and pecked off her nose. Sing hey diddle diddle by 7 bearing gold. Sing hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. The cow jumping off the moon, the little dog laughed to see such craft, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Solomon Grundy, born on Monday, by 7 bearing gold. Solomon Grundy, born on Monday, christened on Tuesday, married on Wednesday. Took ill on Thursday, worse on Friday, died on Saturday, buried on Sunday. This is the end of Solomon Grundy. Some little mice sat in a barn to spin, by 7 bearing gold. Some little mice sat in a barn to spin. Pussy came by and popped her head in. Shall I come in and cut your threads off? Oh no, kind sir, you will snap our heads off. Song of Spring, by 7 bearing gold. The country's now in all its pride, now dressed in lovely green. The earth of many colours dyed displays a lovely scene. 10,000 pretty flowers appear to deck the little children's hair. Fa-la-la, la, fa-la. The cuckoos picked up all the dirt, the trees are all in bloom. If pleasant music may divert, each bush affords a tune. The pigeon sings in every grove, and milkmaids babble songs of love. Fa-la-la-la, fa-la. Come out into the cowslip mats, the pleasant wood and spring, and listen in the bach's shades, the nightingale doth sing. Sweet nightingale, whose warbling throat far, far excels my sorry note. Fa-la-la-la, fa-la. Taffy was a Welshman, by 7 bearing gold. Taffy was a Welshman, Taffy was a thief. Taffy came to my house and stole a piece of beef. I went to Taffy's house, Taffy wasn't at home. Taffy came to my house and stole a marrow bone. I went to Taffy's house, Taffy was in bed. I took off a marrow bone and flung it at his head. The Bonnie Pit Laddie, by 7 bearing gold. The Bonnie Pit Laddie, the Canny Pit Laddie, the Bonnie Pit Laddie for me-o. He sits in a hole as black as a coal and brings the white cellar to me-o. The Bonnie Pit Laddie, the Canny Pit Laddie, the Bonnie Pit Laddie for me-o. He sits in his cricket and hews in his jacket and brings the white cellar to me-o. My bonny keel lady, my canny keel lady, the bonny keel lady for me-o. He sits in his keel as black as the deal and brings the white cellar to me-o. The cat sat asleep by the side of the fire, by 7 bearing gold. The cat sat asleep by the side of the fire. The mistress snored loud as a pig. Jack took up his fiddle at Jenny's desire and struck up a bit of a jig. The cuckoo is a pretty bird, by 7 bearing gold. The cuckoo is a pretty bird, she sings as she flies. She brings us good tidings and never tells lies. She sucketh sweet flowers to make her voice clear, and when she sings cuckoo, the summer draweth near. The Goose and Gander, by 7 bearing gold. The goose and the gander walked over the green. The goose walked barefooted for fear of being seen. Not for fear of being seen, but of wetting her toes, and the man that drinks strong beer hath a jolly red nose. The blacksmith is black, but his silver is white, and he sits in the alehouse from morning till night. Dunk-dillo, 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 dunk-dillo. And happy is the man that sits under the willow. The little dandy, by 7 bearing gold. Oh, when I was a boy, and the pretty little boy, with my little curly head of hair so sandy, oh, all the damsels used to cry what a funny roof was I, and christened me the pretty little dandy, oh. But when I older grew and something better knew than sucking lollipops and sugar candy, oh, why I was so spruce and gay that the ladies used to say, oh, the pretty little fellow is a dandy, oh. And when to end all strife, I did get a little wife with a pretty little waist so handy, oh, and the lazy boots am I. But she sings me lullaby, says I'm a good for nothing dandy, oh. The Little Man, by 7 bearing gold. There was a little man, and he had a little gun, and his bullets were made of lead, lead, lead. He went to the brook, and he saw a little duck, and he shot it through the head, head, head. He carried it home to his good wife Joan, and bid her make a fire for to bake, bake, bake. To roast the little duck he had shot in the brook, and he'd go fetch her next, the drake, drake, drake. The drake was swimming with his curly tail. The little man made it his mark, mark, mark. But he let off his gun, and he fired too soon. So the drake flew away with a quack, quack, quack. The magpie by 7 bearing gold. A pie sat on a pear tree, a pie sat on a pear tree, a pie sat on a pear tree, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho. And once so merrily hopped she, and twice so merrily hopped she, and thrice so merrily hopped she, he ho, he ho, he ho. The Man in the Moon by 7 bearing gold. The man in the moon came tumbling down and asked his way to Norwich. The man of the south, he burnt his mouth by eating hot peas porridge. The Nut Tree by 7 bearing gold. I had a little nut tree, nothing would appear but a silver nutmeg and a golden pear. The King of Spain's daughter came to visit me, and all was because of my little nut tree. I skipped over the water, I danced over the sea, and all the birds of the air, they couldn't catch me. The Old Couple by 7 bearing gold. There was an old couple, and they were poor, twiddle twiddle dee. They lived in a house that had but one door, or what an old couple were they. The old man he went one day from home, twiddly twiddly dee. The old woman she couldn't stay moping alone, meek old woman was she. The old man he did come home at last, twiddle twiddle dee, and found the door and the windows fast. Oh, what is the matter, quoth he. I have been sick since you've been gone, twiddle twiddle dee. If you'd been in the garden you'd heard me groan. I'm so sorry for that, said he. I've a petition to make of thee, twiddle twiddle dee. Pick me an apple from yonder tree. Oh, what will I do, said he. The old man he got up in the tree, twiddle twiddle dee. She plucked down the ladder, and down fell he. This is cleverly done, said she. Come all pretty maidens, wherever you be, twiddle twiddle dee, and do your husbands as done by she. That's the true end of matrimony. The Pigs by 7 bearing gold. Do look at those pigs as they lie in the straw, said Dick to his father one day. They keep eating longer than ever I saw. Oh, what greedy gluttons are they! I see they are feasting, his father replied. They eat a great deal, I allow. But let us remember before we do right, 'tis the nature, my dear, of a sow. But when a great boy such as you, my dear Dick, does nothing but eat all the day, and keeps taking nice things till he makes himself sick, what a glutton indeed, we may say. When plum-cake and sugar forever be pigs, and sweetmeats and comfits and figs, pray let him get rid of his own greedy tricks, and then he may laugh at the pigs. The Poor Woman of Babylon by 7 bearing gold. Here comes the poor woman of Babylon, the 3 little children all alone. One can brew, and one can bake, and one can make a nice round cake. One can sit in a bower and spin, one can make a bed for a king. Choose the one and leave all the rest, and take you the one that you love the best. Now you're married, we wish you joy, father and mother you must obey. Love one another as sister and brother, and now, good people, kiss one another. The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts by 7 bearing gold. The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer's day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts and hid them clean away. The King of Hearts, he missed those tarts, and beat the Knave right sore. The Knave of Hearts brought back the tarts, and vowed he'd steal no more. A Robin by 7 bearing gold. Come here, little robin, and put down your wing. I would not hurt even the feather. Come here, little robin, and pick up some crumbs to feed you this bitter cold weather. I don't mean to hurt you, you poor little thing, and Pussycat is not behind me. So hop about pretty, and put down your wing, and pick up the crumbs, and don't mind me. Cold winter is come, but it will not last long, and summer will soon be greeting. So remember, sweet robin, and sing me a song in return for the breakfast you're eating. The rose is red, the violet's blue, by 7 bearing gold. The rose is red, the violet's blue, the honey sweet and so are you. All right, my love, and I am thine, I draw thee for my valentine. The lot was cast, and then I drew, and fortune said it should be you. The rose is red, the violet's blue, by 7 bearing gold. The rose is red, the violet's blue, the violet's sweet, and so are you. These the words you bade me say for a pair of gloves on Easter Day. The Scarecrow by 7 bearing gold. Oh, all you little black-eyed tops, pray don't eat my father's crops, while I lie down and take my naps. Shoo-wow, shoo-wow. If father he, by chance, should come with his cocked hat and his long gun, then you must fly and I must run. Shoo-wow, shoo-wow. The Snail by 7 bearing gold. The snail crawls out with his house on his back. You may know whence he comes by his slimy track. Creep, creep, how slowly he goes, and you'd do the same if you carried your house. The snail crawls out with his house on his back, but a blackbird is watching him on his track. Tack, tack, on the roof of his house, he gobbles him up as a cat does a mouse. The Whale by 7 bearing gold. The whale, and now must he sing, the ocean's pride and the fish's king. He is the vast and the mighty thing, sailing along in the deep blue sea. Down to the bottom sometimes he goes, and up to the surface again for blows. And when he has done, then off goes he, sailing along in the deep blue sea. And often climbs where it is very cold, this fish is found, as I've been told, and there will sport in his mighty glee, sailing along in the deep blue sea. This dangerous thing in catching the whale, he'll toss overboard with a flick of his tail. And when he's done so, off goes he, sailing along in the deep blue sea. There was a little man by 7 bearing gold. There was a little man, and he wooed a little maid. And he said, "Little maid, will you wed, wed, wed? I have no more to say, when will you, yea or nay, for the least said is soonest mended, dead. The little maid, she sighed, and very soon replied, "But what will he have for to eat, eat, with a flame that you're so rich, and make a fire in the kitchen? Or the little god of love turn with spit, spit, spit?" There was an old woman lived under a hill by 7 bearing gold. There was an old woman lived under a hill, she put a mouse into a bag and sent it to the mill. The miller he saw by the point of his knife, he never took taller of a mouse in his life. There was an old woman lived under a hill by 7 bearing gold. There was an old woman lived under a hill, if she's not gone, she lives there still. There was an old woman tossed in a blanket by 7 bearing gold. There was an old woman tossed in a blanket, 17 times as high as the moon. But where she was going no mortal could tell, for under her arm she carried a broom. "Old woman, old woman, old woman," said I, "why thou so high? I'm going to sweep cobwebs out of the sky, and I will be with you by and by." There were 2 birds set on a stone by 7 bearing gold. There were 2 birds set on a stone. One flew away, and then there was one. The other flew after, and then there was none, and nothing was left but the stone alone. There were 2 blackbirds set on a hill by 7 bearing gold. There were 2 blackbirds set on a hill, one named Jack, and the other named Jill. "Fly away, Jack, fly away, Jill. Come back, Jack, come back, Jill." This little pig went to market by 7 bearing gold. This little pig went to market. This little pig stayed at home. This little pig had a bit of meat, and this little pig had none. This little pig said, "Wee, wee, wee, I can't find my way home." 3 blind mice by 7 bearing gold. 3 blind mice, see how they run. They all ran after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a thing in your life? 3 blind mice. 3 children sliding by 7 bearing gold. 3 children sliding on the ice upon a summer's day. As it fell out, they all fell in, the rest they ran away. A lord there was with the king, a mighty Wagamegs, but when he saw he could not win, he would have drawn the stakes. He said 'twould be a man to slide, and laid 100 pound. The king said 'twould break and not abide, their children 3 were drowned. Of which one's head was from his shoulder stuck, whose name was John, who then cried out as loud he could, "O Londa, Londa, Don." Was being drowned, the luck, water ran down their throats and stopped their breath 3 hours with clock, where they could get in the boats. Now had these children been at home or sliding on dry ground, 10,000 pounds to 1 penny, they had not all been drowned. The parents all the children have, and ye that egg have none. If you would keep them from the grave, pray make them stay at home. 3 wise men of Gotham by 7 bearing gold. 3 wise men of Gotham went to sea in a bowl. If a bowl had been stronger, my story had been longer. To market by 7 bearing gold. To market, to buy a plum bun. Home again, market is done. Tom shall have a new bonnet by 7 bearing gold. Tom shall have a new bonnet, with ribbons of blue upon it, with a hushaby and with a lullaby, and the moon is sailing all in the sky. Tom Thumb, the piper's son, by 7 bearing gold. Tom Thumb, the piper's son, stole a pig and away did run. The pig was eat and Tom was beat, till he ran crying down the street. Twinkle, twinkle, by 7 bearing gold. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the traveller in the dark thanks you for thy tiny spark, he could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so. Then the blazing sun is gone, and he nothing shines upon, then appears thy tiny spark, twinkle, twinkle in the dark. Up the hill and down the vale by 7 bearing gold. Up the hill and down the vale, butter's made in every dale. And if it be that Nancy Crook, she can churn and she can cook, when she shall butter make Annan before grandmother is an old man. Wee Willie Winkie runs through the town by William Miller. Wee Willie Winkie runs through the town, upstairs and downstairs in his nightgown, tapping at the window, crying at the lock, are the babes in their beds, for it's not 10 o'clock? What a little boy's made of by 7 bearing gold. What a little boy's made of, what a little boy's made of. Snaps and snails and puppy dogs' tails, and that's what little boys are made of. What a little girl's made of, what a little girl's made of. Sugar and spice and things that are nice, and that's what little girls are made of. Who comes here by 7 bearing gold? Who comes here? A grenadier. What do you want? A pot of beer. Where's your money? I forgot. Get you gone, you drunken sot. Wig, hat and cane by 7 bearing gold. By the side of a murmuring stream, as an elderly gentleman sat, on the top of his head was a wig, on the top of his wig was a hat. The wind it blew high and blew strong, as the elderly gentleman sat, and bore from his head in it dries, and plunged in the river his head. The gentleman then took his cane, which lay by his side as he sat, and he dropped in the river his wig, in attempting to get at his head. His breast it grew cold with despair, and full in his eye madness set. So he flung in the river his cane, to swim with his wig and his head. Cool reflection at length came across, while this elderly gentleman and said, so he thought he would follow the stream, and look for his cane, wig and head. His head being thicker than common, outbalanced the rest of his head, and in plumped the son of a woman, to follow his cane, wig and head. Willie boy, where are you going? By 7 bearing gold. Willie boy, where are you going? I'll go with you if I may. I'm going to the meadows to see them mowing, going to see them make the hay. Wine and water by 7 bearing gold. Said wine to water, so fine I be, they carry me over both land and sea. They call me both port and sherry. I cause every heart to be merry, I cause every heart to be merry. Said water to wine, so useful I be, no kitchen can do for a day without me. For all the week around I am toiling, I'm washing, I'm baking and boiling, I'm washing, I'm baking and boiling. Yankee Doodle came to town by 7 bearing gold. Yankee Doodle came to town. How do you think they served him? One took his bag, another his gown, the quicker for to starve him.